Greetings Pilgrims, I'm Doug. This is Camino 2020, a section of my channel dedicated to my preparations for my Camino. If you are into the Camino de Santiago or just hiking and pilgrimage stuff in general, if you would click that subscribe button, I would appreciate it. You won't get any notifications unless you also click the bell. What I want to talk to you about today is walking your own walk. In the last year, I have spent a lot of time having online discussions with others about the Camino, whether it be on Facebook or Reddit or some other social media platform. And what I've noticed on a lot of these forums is that people have a tendency to shift into the second person voice when distributing their advice. And what I mean by that is that instead of talking about what works for me or what I did, it turns into what is going to work for you and what you need to do. Now, the problem with that, I think fairly obviously, is that we're all very different people. We have different needs. We have different desires. We have different physiques. We have different levels of experience. We have different budgets. We have different reasons for going. There are so many variables involved in planning one's Camino that I just get really uncomfortable when people start telling me or somebody else what they need to do, especially because in 99.9% of the cases, those dispensing their advice don't even know who they're talking to. Now, I get it. I'm a human being. I like to feel like I'm making good choices. And one of the ways that we human beings get affirmed in our choices is when other people make the same choices we do. So it's completely natural to want people to do the same things that we did. I took a 30-liter pack and it was all I needed. So you need to bring a 30-liter pack because that's all you're gonna need. I didn't need hiking boots on my Camino, so you're not gonna need hiking boots on your Camino. When it comes to routes, when it comes to gear choices, when it comes to how much planning people do, there are just way too many Pilgrim police and Camino cops out there that seem to think that their Camino somehow sets the standard for all pilgrims and is in fact the standard by which all other Caminos should be judged. But the fact of the matter is, there's no such thing as the Camino. It's your Camino, and you need to walk it the way you need to walk it. Now look, I have got a ton of great advice, ideas I never would have thought of if it wasn't for people that have gone before me. I have spent countless hours watching YouTube videos, watching other pilgrims pack, unpack, talk about their gear choices, what worked, what didn't, and I find it fascinating. And that's part of the reason I'm making these videos, because I think that for some people, following me along in my journey of preparing for the Camino is going to help them. But it's important to note that I'm not doing this to convince anybody of what they should do. I'm not trying to tell you what you should do. If my gear videos help you make a decision, that's all I really want. Even if that decision is the exact opposite of a decision I made. I've had several people comment on gear review videos of gear that I am not bringing on my Camino, saying thank you so much for this review, I'm going to go with this thing. Fantastic, that's great. I am so glad that that video helped you. It doesn't bother me in the least that you chose something I didn't choose, because you have a different set of criteria than I do. What bothers me is when people make a decision and then all of a sudden the Camino cops and the Pilgrim police come out and tell them that they have made a wrong decision. You're not going to need that. You're going to need that. You don't need. This kind of language really should be absent from Camino discussions. For some pilgrims, being happy on the Camino means planning every little detail down to the smallest minutia. For others, the Camino means more of an adventure, kind of just getting out there and going for it and just seeing what the Camino provides. Neither one of them is wrong. They're just different. Hey, I don't know about you, but I don't get paid to backpack. I'm not getting paid to go on my Camino. Ultimately, I'm doing it because I think those things will make me happy. And if carrying some extra gear or carrying an unusual piece of gear increases my happiness, then who cares whether or not I do it? I'm not asking anybody else to carry that stuff, so what is the big deal? I get that you could go on the Camino with a 7-pound day pack. I have another video elsewhere on this channel that will show you how to do it. On the other hand, if you carry a 15 or 20 pound pack, you might have some stuff that is really important to you. Maybe you're bringing a lot of camera gear. I mean, when Dixie went on her Camino, she brought a drone with her. She had a 17-pound pack, and 10 of those pounds were just her photography equipment. But watch her videos, and you'll see why she brought that stuff. So it doesn't matter what you're bringing. It doesn't matter where you start. Every one of those routes back there is a different Camino. They all just start in different places. And yeah, if you want to get your Compostela certificate, there are certain things you have to do and certain ways you have to do it, and it's good to know those particular rules. But ultimately, the Camino is simply the pilgrimage to Santiago. You could wake up in Santiago and make a pilgrimage to the cathedral, and it would still count. You don't have to start in a particular place. You don't have to go a certain distance to make it a legitimate pilgrimage. Your pilgrimage starts when you leave your home, when you leave your way of life, and you head out on the way to Santiago. It doesn't start when you hit a particular city. I mean, do you really think that 12th century Spanish pilgrims walked east and then turned around and walked back to Santiago so that they could have a real pilgrimage? Of course not. If somebody just wants to start in Soraya and walk to Santiago, that's fine. That doesn't make them Turagrinos. It doesn't make them illegitimate. They didn't break some pilgrim code. That's just where they started. That's the experience they wanted. And if you start clear back 500 miles away, that doesn't make you a better pilgrim. It just means you got to have a different experience than they did. You know, when I go climb a 10,000 plus foot mountain in Yosemite and I'm looking down over the valley, I don't hate on the people down in the valley driving the little buses around taking pictures. That's the experience they wanted. That's the experience they got. I wanted a different experience, and I got it. There's no such thing as the Camino. There's your Camino, and you need to make it what you need to make it so that you get out of it what you want to get out of it. So, hike your own hike. Walk your own walk. Do what you need to do to get out of the Camino experience what you want to get out of it, and don't worry about what everybody else is doing. They're having their experience, you're having yours. I hope that the videos I am making for my Camino are helpful to you as you plan your Camino, whether or not we end up doing the same things or making the same choices. If they have been, would you give the video a like? And again, I would love it if you subscribe to the channel. You won't get any notifications unless you click that bell as well. Until next time, I'm Doug. Buen Camino.